Hello and welcome to quiz class. Today we have 100 questions on Greek gods. Let's take a look at our quiz class awards. You can let us know how you rank in the comments at the end along with the answer to the bonus question. How many Greek gods were known as the Olympians? 6, 12, or 18? What type of cult were the initiations in the Eleusinian Mysteries for? Agrarian, fishing, or forestry? Agrarian. Who was not a son of Cronus and Rhea? Apollo, Poseidon, or Hades? Apollo. What were the chthonic deities, particularly related to? Sky, stars and moon, the underworld, or heaven? The underworld. Who were the equivalent of Hera in Roman mythology? Juno, Mona, or Zenu? Juno. Which animals featured on Hermes' staff? Snakes, wolves, or mice? Snakes. Which activity was associated with Artemis? Weaving, hunting, or parenting? Hunting. According to Greek myths, whose face launched 1,000 ships? Helen of Mythos, Lydia of Hydra, or Helen of Troy? Helen of Troy. According to myths, who made Icarus his wings? His wife, his student, or his father? His father. What type of mythological being was Daphne the Naiad? A sea nymph, waterfall nymph, or a river nymph? A river nymph. Where did the Olympic gods reside? Mount Ossa, Mount Ida, or Mount Olympus? Mount Olympus. What wasn't Zeus the god of? The sun, the sky, or thunder? The sun. What was Orpheus the god of? Meditation, music, or metals? Music. What was Pluton also known as? Satan, Lucifer, or Hades? Hades. Which natural phenomena was associated with Prometheus? Fire, ice, or lava? Fire. Who was the equivalent of Ares in Roman mythology? Mars, Venus, or Mercury? Mars. What animal was Poseidon the god of? Pigs, sheep, or horses? Horses. What was Nyx the female personification of? Night, winter, or slumber? Night. How many heads did the Hydra have in the labors of Hercules? 7, 8, or 9? 9. Who is the goddess of wisdom? Artemisia, Alina, or Athena? Athena. What weapon was Apollo the god of? Sword, spying, or archery? Archery. Who is married to Aphrodite? Hercules, Chiron, or Hephaestus? Hephaestus. Where was Bellerophon a hero of? Rhodes, Corinth, or Argos? Corinth. Which constellations were made from Callisto and Arcus? Orion's Belt, Horsehead Nebula, or Ursa Major and Ursa Minor? Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. In Greek mythology, who was the equivalent of Ymir, the Norse giant and one of the first living creatures? Craven, Cronus, or Kraken? Cronus. What animal wasn't associated with Zeus? The lion, the eagle, or the bull? The lion. Who did the Argonauts accompany in the quest for the Golden Fleece? Jonathan, Jason, or James? Jason. Who was the official priestess at Delphi who delivered messages from Apollo? Delphic Maiden, Delphic Authority, or the Delphic oracle? The Delphic oracle. What flower was the symbol of Demeter? Lavender, cherry, or poppy? Poppy. What artifact was associated with Pandora? Box, coffin, or amulet? Box. Who was the mortal princess Psyche cursed by? Zeus, Ares, or Eros? Eros. Which goddess was the continent of Europe named after? Europae, Europo, or Europa? Europa. Which goddess was known as the Lady of Cyprus? Athena, Artemis, or Aphrodite? Aphrodite. How many Furies were there? 3, 5, or 7? Three. What was Hestia the goddess of? Islands, hearth, or cities? Hearth. What was the Gordian knot associated with? Philip III of Macedon, Thessaloniki of Macedon, or Alexander the Great? Alexander the Great. Who had snakes for hair? Mordia, Magna, or Medusa? Medusa. Which enchantress was the daughter of Helios, the sun god? Lachesis, Circe, or Atropos? Circe. Who is the Greek god of wine? Apolos, Asterion, or Dionysus? Dionysus. We are at question 40. What did Ariadne help Theseus escape? The Kraken, Chimera, or the Minotaur? The Minotaur. What was Eris the goddess of? Diplomacy, harmony, or discord? Discord. What type of nymph was Achilles' mother? Tree, mountain, or sea? Sea. Who is the Greek goddess of grief, anxiety, and depression? Honos, Hybris, or Oasis? Oasis. Which was not a Roman name for Zeus? Jove, Jupiter, or Julius? Julius. Who was the goddess of the sea? Andalusia, Amphitrite, or Ambroxia? Amphitrite. Who was the nymph Eurydice married to? Perseus, Odysseus, or Orpheus? Orpheus. Which Greek god would be associated with Cupid's bow? Phoebe, Eros, or Tartarus? Eros. What is Athena's epithet? Palais, palace, or Pallas? Pallas. Who is the minor Greek goddess of the seasons? Hera, Themis, or Horai? Horai. What was the relationship between Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon? Friends, cousins, or brothers? Brothers. What type of footed shepherd was Pan? Goat-footed, rabbit-footed, or dog-footed? Goat-footed. What wasn't Hermes? A messenger, a herald, or an oracle? Oracle. Who did Gaia produce from the blood of Uranus? Healers and giants, elves and giants, or furies and giants? Furies and giants. What would the modern equivalent of Troy be? Lebanon, Syria, or Turkey? Turkey. What was the Greek equivalent of the moon goddess Luna from Roman mythology? Salome, Saskia, or Selene? Selene. What type of horse was Pegasus? Sailing, immortal, or flying? Flying. Which self-absorbed mortal was loved by the nymph Echo? Narcissus, or Nasomato? Narcissus. What relation was the goddess Athena to Ares? Half-sister, stepdaughter, or uncle by marriage? Half-sister. What was Hera's chariot pulled by? Swans, albatrosses, or peacocks? Peacocks. We are at question 60. What was Urania the goddess of? Daylight and sunshine, rain and ice, or astronomy and stars? Astronomy and stars. Who is the goddess of chance and good fortune? Psyche, Tiki, or Leaky? Tiki. How many heads did Kerberos, the dog guard of the underworld, have? 1, 2, or 3? 3. Which Roman wrote the Greek mythological epic Aeneid? Plato, Maximus, or Virgil? Virgil. Which Greek island did Rhea send Zeus to? Leucada, Crete, or Zakynthos? Crete. Who was born directly from Uranus? Aphrodite, Hera, or Demeter? Aphrodite. What primordial deity was Pondos? The moon, the sea, or the clouds? The sea. Which Olympian god shares the same name in both Greek and Roman pantheons? Demeter, Hades, or Apollo? Apollo. What wasn't Hecate capable of? Love, good and evil, or witchcraft? That's Hecate, Hecate. Love. Where were the Dioscuri, the twins Castor and Pollux, patron gods of? Kephallonia, Sparta, or Eos? Sparta. In which war was Cronus defeated? The Titan War, the Olympian War, or the Chaos War? The Titan War. What relative was Kratos to Zeus? Uncle, son, or nephew. Son. What was Morpheus the god of? Illusion, medicine, or metamorphosis? Metamorphosis. Where was Minos the king of? Corfu, Corinth, or Crete? Crete. Who was the equivalent of Dionysus in Roman mythology? Orpheus, Bacchus, or Janus? Bacchus. What was Enyo a goddess of? Construction, faith, or war? War. What length dress was Artemis, goddess of the hunt, typically wearing? Long, mid-length, or short? Short. Based on the myth of Sisyphus, what is a Sisyphean task? Fulfilling and long-term, based on faith, or laborious and futile? Laborious and futile. What animal didn't accompany Ares? Boar, snake, or vulture? Snake. Which mortal did Aphrodite ask to have turned into a god? Phoenicius, Creed, or Adonis? Adonis. What primordial deity was Rhea? The islands, the rivers, or the mountains? The mountains. Who were the primordial deities responsible for all Greek gods? Gaia and Saturn, Gaia and Neptune, or Gaia and Uranus? Gaia and Uranus. Who is Hebe married to? Hercules, Heracleon, or Heracles? Heracles. What was Poseidon's trident used to control? The waves, the wind, or the whirlpools? The waves. How many rivers were there in the Greek underworld? 1, 3, or 5? 5. Who were the Gorgons in Greek mythology? Sisters, wives, or priestesses? Sisters. What was the one-eyed giant Polyphemus? Cyclonus, Cyclops, or Cyclades? Cyclops. Who became queen of the underworld after abduction by Hades? Cassiope, Andromeda, or Persephone? Persephone. In Greek mythology, what was the corona borealis before it was a constellation? A crown, a necklace, or a breastplate? Crown. What animal carried Hephaestus around? Camel, donkey, or a horse? A donkey. How many Titans were there before the Olympians? 5, 12, or 19? 12. How did Pygmalion make Galatea in Ovid's Metamorphosis? Conjuring, sculpting, or wishing? Sculpting. In Homer's The Odyssey, where is Odysseus the mythical king of? Ionia, Icaria, or Ithaca? Ithaca. How did Perseus defeat the Medusa? Beheading, stabbing, or choking? Beheading. What was Alpheus the god of? The Alpheus Valley, the Alpheus Mountain, or the Alpheus River? The Alpheus River. What wasn't Ariadne associated with? Mazes, labyrinths, or canyons? Canyons. What did Gaia emerge from? The first snow, the great eclipse, or chaos? Chaos. What weather phenomena was Zephyrus associated with? Snow, floods, or wind? Wind. What natural wonder was bestowed on the island of Naxos for worshipping the god of wine? Beaches, springs, or vineyards? Vineyards. Who was nicknamed the trickster god? Maya, Angelia, or Hermes? Hermes. Where did Athena grow the first olive tree? Thessaloniki, Athens, or Larissa? Athens. And our bonus question, what was Zeus and Hera's relationship? Let us know the answer in the comments, as well as how you ranked with our quiz class Einstein rewards. We'd love to know how you did. Thanks for playing and see you next time. Bye-bye.